I did switch to like steak and eggs for breakfast, and I found that's like a power-up.
And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese.
What if the food you trust most, the breakfast on your table, the snack in your child's hand, the healthy options you buy without thinking, was quietly poisoning you? The numbers are terrifying. Millions of Americans fall ill every year from food-related contamination. And studies show that diets high in hidden chemicals and additives can increase the risk of heart disease by nearly 40%. Are you sure the food sitting in your pantry isn't part of that statistic? How many times have you checked a label and still been tricked by clever marketing? And worse, how many of these dangers are fed to your family every single day, disguised as convenience or health? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk meant when they declared, "We just shut down these 10 foods from American markets." Some of these items might already be on your plate right now, and after this, you may never look at them the same way again. Number 1, deli meat, a slice of ham on bread, a quick layer of turkey, or that pepperoni on your pizza. It feels harmless. Doesn't it like a quiet little favor for your busy day, saving you time and keeping your stomach from growling at work? It even feels like a bargain. The kind of deal that makes you nod and say, well, at least lunch won't cost me an arm and a leg today. But what if that deal is more like buying a used car with the engine already falling apart? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk didn't shout about deli meats just to stir drama. They pushed to shut them down because this is not food doing you a favor. It's food quietly making you pay a debt you can't afford your health. Every slice is a little chemical trick. It's meat rebuilt in a way that your body doesn't understand. Smoking, curing, and chemical salting don't just add taste. They act like smooth-talking salesmen selling you something poisonous in shiny wrapping. Nitrates and nitrites keep those slices pink and fresh-looking. But once inside your gut, they're like termites eating through the wooden beams of your house, slow, hidden, and relentless. Bit by bit, they chip away at your colon cells, turning what feels like an innocent lunch into a long-term ticket to cancer, especially colorectal and stomach cancer. And here's the kicker, those nitrate-free labels you might trust. They're about as honest as a used car salesman telling you the car runs great. Some nitrates still turn into nitrites inside your body, keeping the cycle spinning whether you like it or not. It gets uglier when heat joins the party. Frying that ham or letting your pepperoni bubble on a pizza unleashes chemicals with names too long to bother remembering. But their effects are simple. They mess with your DNA like a kid scribbling all over an important contract. Once DNA is damaged, cancer doesn't just knock politely, it barges in. So ask yourself, is that cheap sandwich really a bargain if the cost is your own cells turning against you? Is saving $1 worth gambling on a slow-motion time bomb in your gut and before you feel trapped? Here's the better choice, sliding in naturally real food that actually respects your body. Swap that chemical-packed turkey slice for grilled chicken. Toss beans or eggs into your meal. Or even go with a hearty spoonful of hummus. Your body, already working hard enough to keep you standing every day, deserves better than a daily handshake with poison disguised as lunch meat. Number 2, pancake syrup. A warm stack of pancakes without syrup feels like a joke nobody laughs at. That sweet pour is what makes breakfast feel like a treat. The thing that makes you close your eyes for a second and think, now this is good living. But here's the question no one wants to ask out loud, are you pouring happiness? Or are you pouring yourself a slow dose of trouble? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk didn't demand action against these syrups just because they're picky eaters. They know that what's sitting in that plastic bottle is more factory experiment than food. And it's quietly carving away at your health every time it hits your plate. Most pancake syrups aren't maple at all. They're sugary impersonators, dressed up to look like the real thing, kind of like cheap knockoff handbags trying to pass as luxury. The star ingredient in these imposters is high fructose corn syrup. A sweetener that doesn't just sweeten it, latches onto your health like a parasite. Linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. HFCS has even been connected to cancer in some studies. And because it's made from genetically modified corn, it can carry trace amounts of mercury. Mercury. In your breakfast, does that sound like a joke you want to laugh at? It's also known to harm the lining of your gut, opening tiny holes in it over time. A condition called leaky gut, which can spark inflammation and autoimmune issues that leave your body turning on itself. And it doesn't stop at the sugar. These syrups are full of artificial flavors, caramel coloring, and preservatives that exist for one reason: to fake the look and taste of maple syrup. Some of these additives have been linked to cancer, while others are tied to hyperactivity in children. Imagine that kids sitting down for a fun breakfast while their little bodies are being drenched in chemicals their organs have to fight like an unwanted invasion. So maybe that innocent morning drizzle isn't so innocent. If this syrup could talk, it'd probably say, "Hey, I taste like maple, but I'm here to make sure you pay for this later." Switching away isn't just a fancy health choice, it's common sense. Reach for real maple syrup when you can, or even go simple fresh fruit, a bit of honey, or a dollop of peanut butter can sweeten pancakes without handing your body over to chemical sabotage. Number 3, seafood. Funny how a plate of grilled salmon can fool you into thinking you're eating something pure, almost noble. Isn't it bright pink flesh, a squeeze of lemon, and suddenly it feels like you're treating your body kindly? But what if that bright pink is nothing more than a polished mask? What if every bite is like shaking hands with the ocean's filthiest secrets? Because the sea you imagine clean waves. Clear water no longer exists. It's become a giant trash can, and fish are just the unlucky tenants trapped inside. Plastic bags, oil residue, mercury, lead, call it the ocean's toxic stew. Fish swallow it every day, turning their bodies into storage units for poison. And when you take a bite, you inherit every bit of that poison like some twisted family heirloom. Does that still sound like health food tests have found microplastics in nearly every seafood sample examined, and those same microplastics are now being found in human blood? Picture that pieces of shredded plastic grocery bags swirling through your veins, scratching your insides as if they own the place, and mercury. It's not just a problem for pregnant women. It's a slow-acting toxin that can mess with anyone's nervous system, slipping into your body bite after bite, like a thief sneaking in while you leave the door wide open. And don't even get started on how this seafood is pulled from the water. Industrial fishing nets don't just catch fish, they bulldoze the ocean floor, tearing up coral reefs and snaring creatures that were never meant to be caught. Dolphins, turtles, even endangered sharks are dragged up, suffocated, and tossed back dead, like broken toys nobody wants anymore. The sea is bleeding out, and the balance that kept it alive is slipping away so fast we may never get it back. Then there's the part no restaurant menu wants to talk about: the ports. Fish dumped on dirty floors, stepped on, mishandled, and shoved into crates at lightning speed. Cleanliness not a priority, profit is. And that rush means bacteria, contamination, and a nice side of risk for you and your family, all hidden under that shiny, fresh sticker. Maybe it's time to rethink that so-called healthy choice. Switching to beans, lentils, or even something as simple as scrambled eggs spares you from the toxic mess and, honestly, might be the only thing left that doesn't come with the aftertaste of regret. Number 4, store-bought bread. That warm loaf sitting on your counter, soft and inviting, might feel like the safest thing in your kitchen. Bread is supposed to be comfort. Right, a quick sandwich for lunch, a piece of toast in the morning. It's the kind of food we barely think about. But maybe that's exactly the problem. Because the bread you're buying isn't just flour, water, and yeast anymore. It's a science project disguised as food. And every slice might be quietly working against you. Preservatives are the first red flag. They're added to stop mold from taking over too quickly, which sounds great, until you realize what they actually do inside your body. Calcium propionate, for instance, has been tied to headaches, insomnia, and even behavioral changes in children. Sodium benzoate, when it meets vitamin C in your stomach, can form benzene, yes, the same benzene linked to cancer, and potassium sorbate, often marketed as safe, can trigger allergic reactions and stomach irritation, especially in people who are already sensitive. So while the bread looks fresh for days, your body is left wrestling with chemicals it never asked for. And it doesn't stop there. Many loaves are made from flour treated with bleaching agents. One of them, azodicarbonamide, better known as the yoga mat chemical, turns into toxic compounds once baked, raising the risk of breathing issues and even cancer. Potassium bromate, another flour additive, is banned in countries like the United Kingdom and Canada for its cancer connection. But in the United States, it still slips into bread dough like a thief in plain sight. Then there's the part most people overlook: mold. You might think you can just cut off a green spot and keep eating the rest. But that's wishful thinking. Mold spores travel fast, spreading invisible mycotoxins through the entire loaf. These toxins aren't just gross, they can damage your lungs, irritate your skin, and strain your liver, turning a simple sandwich into a health gamble. The saddest part, bread is supposed to be basic nourishment, not a chemical trap, but you don't have to give it up completely switching to fresh. Bakery-made bread or baking your own at home can change everything. At least then, you know what's inside. And your body won't be forced to fight an unnecessary battle every time you take a bite. Number 5. Shredded cheese. Ever wonder why that bag of shredded cheese pours so smoothly? Like sand slipping through your fingers, it feels almost magical. But here's the ugly punchline: what you're really sprinkling over your pasta might as well belong in a carpenter's workshop, because that magic is often just finely ground wood pulp. Yes, sawdust. And suddenly, that generous handful on your pizza doesn't feel quite so generous anymore. The secret culprit is cellulose, a cheap filler used as an anti-caking agent to keep cheese from clumping together. It doesn't add flavor. It doesn't add nutrients, it's just there because it's cheap and easy. Some companies even abuse it as a way to bulk up their products, giving you less actual cheese for the same price. One infamous case exposed a company selling 100% Parmesan that turned out to be a mix of cheddar, Parmesan, and wood pulp. That's not just false advertising, it's plain food fraud. And sure, they'll tell you cellulose is safe. Technically, it passes through your body without causing harm. But is that really good enough? Are we supposed to feel fine about paying for food that does nothing for us except fill space in our stomachs? It doesn't even melt the way real cheese should. That weird, grainy, powdery texture you sometimes taste on a grilled cheese or baked pasta. That's the wood pulp doing its job, keeping your cheese from behaving like actual cheese. The bigger problem goes beyond just cheese. Cellulose has crept into almost everything: ice cream, bread, even fast food smoothies. It's like a cheap party guest that shows up everywhere uninvited, lowering the quality of everything it touches. And it's a symbol of something worse: companies cutting corners, trading authenticity for profit, and assuming no one will notice or care. If you want cheese that melts, stretches, and actually nourishes, skip the pre-shredded bags and buy a block. Grate it yourself. It takes a few extra seconds, but at least you'll know you're eating cheese, not a little bit of the lumberyard. Number 6. Jelly beans. Those glossy, jewel-colored jelly beans sitting in a candy jar look so cheerful, it's almost impossible not to grab a handful. They shine like tiny gems, catching the light just right, as if they're whispering, "Come on, just one won't hurt." But here's the twist that might stop you mid-reach. That shiny coating isn't just sugar magic, it's bug spit. Yes, every time you pop one in your mouth, you're eating the dried secretions of thousands of insects. Still sound like a harmless little treat. The substance is called shellac, a resin that comes from female lac bugs. These tiny creatures suck sap from tree branches and leave behind a sticky residue. Workers scrape it off, clean it, and process it until it turns into the shiny glaze you see on jelly beans. The same stuff is used on nail polish, wood furniture, and even pills to give them that smooth finish. In the food world, it's politely disguised under names like confectioner's glaze or E904, because calling it what it really is, bug residue, might kill the appetite faster than any dentist's warning. And while shellac is technically considered safe to eat, it raises questions that stick in your throat harder than the candy itself. Would you willingly chew on something that once clung to a tree branch in the forest of India or Thailand? Left there by swarms of insects, most people wouldn't. But they do anyway because they have no idea. Labels rarely say insect-based. Instead, they bury the truth under vague, scientific terms. Transparency isn't the goal. Sales are. For vegans and vegetarians. It's even worse. This isn't just a harmless glaze. It's an animal byproduct hiding in plain sight, turning what seems like an innocent candy into something they'd never knowingly eat. And here's the kicker. Doesn't it feel strange that the same shiny finish you see on your furniture polish is also on something you feed to your kids? If all you want is a sweet bite without the bug bonus. Choose candies that don't need a glossy disguise. Or better yet, snack on dried fruits or dark chocolate. At least those don't come with the mental image of scraping bug residue off a tree. Number 7. Chewing gum. Pop a piece of gum. Chew a little. And suddenly everything feels casual, harmless, almost childlike. It's a habit people barely think about. The kind of thing you do waiting in line or driving to work. But peel back that sweet minty taste, and what you find inside might make you spit it out instantly. Because chewing gum isn't just sugar and flavor, it's a strange cocktail of animal byproducts, chemicals, and quiet health risks no one bothers to mention. Let's start with the ingredient no one expects: lanolin, the greasy wax taken straight from sheep's wool. The same stuff rubbed into cracked heels and dry elbows is hiding in your gum, keeping it soft and shiny, and if that doesn't sound appetizing, brace yourself. Lanolin isn't alone. Glycerol, another softener, is often made from wood rosin or vegetable oils, giving your gum its chewy bounce. Then there's aspartame, the artificial sweetener that keeps gum diet-friendly. But low calorie doesn't mean low risk. Some studies have tied long-term aspartame use to higher chances of heart disease, strokes, and other serious conditions, and the list keeps going. BHT, or butylated hydroxytoluene, is a synthetic preservative added to stop gum from going stale. It's been linked to cancer in animal studies, and while the food industry insists the amounts in gum are too small to worry about, does anyone really want to gamble on just a little poison every day? Even if you ignore the chemical side, your jaw might not. Constant chewing can strain the temporomandibular joint, leading to chronic pain, swelling, and even migraines. Kids and teens who chew daily have reported headaches, which hardly sounds like the price you want to pay for minty breath. Sure, sugar-free gums with xylitol might protect teeth from cavities, but at what cost is fresher breath worth swallowing sheep wool oil, wood byproducts, and lab-made chemicals that were never meant to be chewed for hours if you need something to freshen your breath? Herbs like mint leaves or even a quick swish of water can do the trick. At least they don't come wrapped in mystery ingredients you'd never knowingly put in your mouth. Number 8. Kopi Luwak. Luxury sometimes has a strange sense of humor, doesn't it? People line up to sip a cup of coffee that costs more than a family's weekly grocery bill, convinced they're tasting something rare and extraordinary. But peel back the glamour, and what you find is a story that's far less elegant: a drink born in the digestive tract of a civet, scraped out after it passes through, cleaned up just enough to hide where it's been, and then sold with a price tag that screams sophistication. Still feel classy holding that cup. The truth behind Kopi Luwak isn't as exotic as the marketing makes it sound. Many brands proudly claim their beans are wild, supposedly gathered from civets wandering free in lush forests. But investigations tell a different story. Traceability is practically non-existent. Most beans labeled as wild come from unknown sources, and you have no reliable way to verify where or how they were collected. It's like buying jewelry with no proof it's real gold, only in this case. You're paying hundreds of dollars for something that might just be ordinary beans passed off as rare, and even if you set aside the shaky ethics, the health risks might make you put your cup down anyway. Those beans ferment inside the civet's digestive system, a process that sounds unique on paper but raises serious contamination concerns in real life. If the beans aren't properly handled and cleaned afterward, they can carry bacteria and pathogens straight to your cup. Unlike other specialty coffees, there's no strict regulation or hygiene standard for this unusual production method. You're trusting that every step from the animal's cage to the roaster is perfectly clean, but there's no system ensuring it. That's the bitter aftertaste no luxury cafe talks about. You're paying top dollar for coffee that might not just be overpriced, it could be unsafe. If you want a truly rich coffee experience, skip the gimmicks and choose beans roasted by reputable, transparent brands. At least you'll know your morning brew didn't start its journey in an animal's intestines. Number 9. Powdered soup. There's something oddly comforting about tearing open a packet, pouring in hot water, and watching soup appear in seconds. It feels like magic, warm, quick, easy. But here's the uncomfortable truth: that cup of convenience is more like a chemistry experiment than a real meal. Every sip might taste like home, but your body knows the difference. Powdered soups are packed with additives and preservatives designed to fake freshness. The biggest offender, MSG, or monosodium glutamate. It's the flavor booster that makes everything taste richer, meatier, more satisfying, like a salesman who talks so fast you forget to ask what you're really buying. And while MSG is considered safe in small amounts, eating it regularly is another story. Headaches, dizziness, flushed skin, and even fatigue have all been linked to MSG sensitivity. One cup here, another cup tomorrow, those small amounts quietly add up. And suddenly your comforting evening soup is leaving you groggy and restless instead of nourished. And MSG isn't the only problem. Powdered soups are sodium bombs in disguise. One packet can push you dangerously close to your daily salt limit, inching you toward high blood pressure, heart strain, and water retention. Some brands even try to fix the salt issue by adding more glutamates, circling right back to the same problem in a different costume. Then there's the part nobody likes to talk about: what's actually missing. Real vegetables, fresh herbs, and protein are replaced by dehydrated scraps of who knows what, and artificial flavors that only trick your tongue. You're sipping on something that feels like soup, but it's more smoke and mirrors than nutrition. So next time you reach for that packet, ask yourself, are you really saving time? Or are you just borrowing trouble you'll have to pay for later? A quick homemade broth with real vegetables, even something as simple as boiled carrots and onions, takes a few minutes longer but actually feeds your body, not just your craving. At least that kind of soup won't leave you wondering what mystery ingredients are swirling around in every spoonful. Number 10. Breakfast cereals. That colorful box on the breakfast table feels so innocent. Doesn't it? Cheerful mascots smiling at your kids, bright colors promising fun mornings, and slogans whispering about whole grains and energy for the day. But peel away the marketing, and what you really have is closer to a dessert disguised as breakfast, only worse, because people eat it every single day thinking it's good for them. Some cereals are practically sugar bombs in a box. Certain popular brands are over 30% sugar by weight, and frosted varieties can deliver up to 30 grams of added sugar in just one serving. That's more than half of what the World Health Organization recommends for an entire day eaten before 9 a.m. Added sugar is nothing but empty calories, giving you a quick rush of energy followed by a sharp crash that leaves you hungrier than before. And it's not just about feeling sluggish. High sugar diets are tied to obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even early death. Eat enough of it daily. And studies show your risk of dying from heart disease can jump by nearly 40%. Quite the deadly gamble for something that calls itself part of a balanced breakfast. And don't be fooled by the health halos slapped on these boxes. A sprinkle of fiber or a few whole grains doesn't magically erase the damage. Most sweetened cereals still have a high glycemic index, meaning they spike your blood sugar fast, triggering insulin surges, more cravings, and inevitable weight gain. It's a cycle your body keeps paying for while companies laugh their way to the bank. The worst part? The way these cereals are marketed, those bright boxes, dancing cartoon mascots, and catchy jingles aren't aimed at you, they're aimed at children. Hooking them early, shaping habits that are hard to break later. It's clever marketing, sure, but also quietly manipulative. If you want to start the morning right, skip the sugar-coated deception. Plain oatmeal with fruit, eggs, or even simple whole grain toast gives real nutrition without sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster. At least that kind of breakfast doesn't need a cartoon character to convince you it's food. Every bite, every sip, every quick choice we've talked about hides a truth most companies hope you never notice. It's not just food, it's profit disguised as nourishment, cutting corners at the cost of your health. But now you know, and once you know, you can't unsee it. The next time you stand in a grocery aisle, ask yourself, is this really food, or just a clever trick in a shiny package? Stay sharp, protect yourself, and don't let them decide what goes on your plate. Subscribe now because the next truth we uncover might just change the way you eat forever.
Thank you for watching today's video all the way through. If you found the content helpful, don't forget to click like and subscribe to stay updated to our latest daily videos. Now feel free to check out other feature videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.